This is climate advocate training for BC's Lower Mainland, but I'm sure it'll be applicable to most Canadians. Thank you everyone for being on the call. So I just wanted to review what we're talking about. We've already done our welcome and introductions, including wonderful land acknowledgements from the Lower Mainland. Do a very quick overview of CCL, including our mission, values, and the CCL way, and what we are currently lobbying for, and planning your lobbying meeting and questions and practice time. There's been a request that this ends in 40 minutes, so I'm going to really whip through the first three parts and then quickly get to the meat of it. So our solution to climate change is democracy, so thank you for being on our team. By the end of tonight, absorb our history, mission, culture, our unique niche, and our one and only rule, and our 5 levers of political will. That's going to go very fast. That shouldn't say that. Articulate, be able to speak. Actually, this is an old slide. I think what I really like you to be able to do is get comfortable lobbying for carbon pricing and climate aligned finance. And then just learn how to be an effective lobbyist. And sorry, I hadn't changed that slide on time. I didn't look it over too closely. And our founder, who is Marshall Saunders, he passed away in 2019. I wish you could have met him. I'm not going to give him justice tonight, but he loved us Canadians. He really believed in us. And he realized like ordinary people like me and you would have to organize and educate ourselves and give up our hopelessness and gain the skills to be effective with our government as to get through the climate crisis. So thanks for willing to do that. That's awesome. You're all 1 in 1,000. So our mission is to build the political will for a livable world, and we do that by empowering people to have breakthroughs in their personal and political power. This is the magic of CCL, is the people's having breakthroughs in their personal and political power. And we have a proven theory of change, and we know it's proven because we were the group that lobbied relentlessly for the carbon fees with dividends. And we know that by meeting regularly at scheduled times and staying focused on the actions and the action sheets, which is mainly just lobbying and touching your MPs, a regular schedule becomes a habit. And by rowing together, we forge those habits into an unstoppable forward momentum. And then we really focus locally because all politics are local. And by focusing that momentum on our own ridings, we will prevail by winning one riding at a time. And yeah, Marshall loved us. So thank you for keeping his dream alive. He really was. I think if I had ever had the chance to meet Mahatma Gandhi or somebody, this man hummed on a totally different level of energy. Like I've never met any human being in person like him. He was incredible. So we have 7 values. Whenever you're feeling lost, go Google them. Like you're like, oh, what am I supposed to do? And they go, okay, I'm supposed to stay focused. If I stay focused, I won't get lost. If I really use great data, I mean, you can't beat great data, and we try to give you the best data. Definitely, you'll stay more motivated if you have optimism steeped in good. We embrace diversity. I just love the backgrounds of the people on this call. Like I said earlier, it's the personal power. It's you all speaking truth to power that bring this along. And it's relationships, the relationships that we forge with each other, with our own MPs, and with other people in our communities and across Canada. This is really, I mean, this beats AI, this beats the internet, this beats social media. This is powerful stuff, and we're definitely partisan. We usually do an exercise, and maybe if we come back to another training, we'll do that exercise, but I'm just going to blow past this tonight. Sorry. I want to go into details, but my one and only thing I want to say about this is if you're ever feeling lost about what to do, lean into these values, and it really helps. So our niche in 2026 is we're training and supporting volunteers organized by ridings to lobby their own parliamentarians and build political will locally for the Climate Aligned Finance Act and strengthening the industrial carbon price. Why carbon pricing? Because it works. And these are the countries around the world that have it, just so you know, like Canada's not out here on our own. If you ever want, I don't have time tonight, but really when you go through the En-ROADS policy simulator, it becomes really obvious that it's really hard to get to a 1.5C planet without carbon pricing. It is the most powerful tool in the toolbox to get us there. That being said, it has to be applied, strategically, and it's not the be all end all, and it needs other complementary policies, but it is a very powerful policy. If you ever have the opportunity to do En-ROADS training or experience one of their workshops, go for it. Or if you ever want just a private tutorial from a hack like me, I can give it to you, but I can't do it tonight because I don't have the time. So carbon pricing is like a huge component of what the government has put forward. And there's also methane regulations and the clean fuel standard, but these were like some of the major policies to decarbonize our economy. And we lost a small portion of it. We lost this one, we lost the fuel charge. But if we really strengthen this industrial carbon pricing policy, we can get rid of a lot of emissions. Yes, we lost oil and gas as well, but if this is made strong, then we can really reduce emissions. That's why it's so important to what we're doing. Am I making sense so far? Okay. Loved your nods. Great nonverbal communication. Totally felt it. Okay. This is we've known this for 6 years, a very strong industrial carbon price could do most of the heavy lifting. So this is old data. So when we were losing when we were losing the consumer carbon price, I was like, well, too bad, but we can make up for it. If you're with us a long time, you know that we do laser talks and stuff like that. I don't have a laser talk for you tonight to practice. We're going to go straight into lobbying, but know that there are laser talks associated with what you'll be lobbying for. And I think you all know that every single month we send out action sheets, and within them are laser talks. Is that kind of okay? Cool. Nods again. This is the best nonverbal communication. I feel like I'm working at Starbucks or something right now. You ever watch Starbucks workers work? They've just got the best communication. Okay, so then you practice them and they're brief and powerful, and you internalize them and rather than memorize them. And it helps us respond better. This is climate advocate training. This is just to remind you of all this stuff that we do. Yes, we lobby. It's probably the most important thing we do. It's in our name after all, but we also do media relations and grassroots outreach and top engagement, which is to get support from local community leaders, and we develop our group. And nice to hear that the Vancouver and Lower Mainland are meeting regularly. Way to go. This is really exciting. Okay, so there, you've got everything you need to know about Citizens Climate Lobby. Now we're leaping into lobbying. Are we ready? Oh, this is awesome. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so the first thing we do is we research our parliamentarian. And we write a bio and we get to know our MP, and you find something that you can appreciate them for. Vanessa Fior, she got an appointment with Yassir Naqvi, who was the former Attorney General for the Government of Ontario, and he's now an MP at the federal level. She did an incredible background on him, and when she met him, she complimented him so specifically, like 3 bang-on things. And the first thing he said back to her is like, I'm really impressed about the research you did about me. Okay, so really do some great research about them. You can get it from their websites, from their social media. And the Hansard, that's the government documents. You can go into the Government of Canada and Google them within. But we really recommend that you sign up to receive alerts from openparliament.ca. So that if there's one thing you do tonight is make sure, and then once you've done all that, you call them in, you get an appointment. And this is our lobbying documents. So this is an exemplar, and this is the one we made for Senator Galvez. Ultimately, the people you're going to lobby with are going to be put in this document, but you're also going to put a bio. And then you're ultimately also going to put your motivational interviewing questions in there as well. So everything goes in this one document. And so you make a copy of this, and the person in charge makes sure, everything's in there. And then you phone and email. It's really critical that you phone and email. I always phone and say, hi, my name is Kathy Orlando. I'm with Citizens Climate Lobby. Don't worry, I'm going to be emailing you right afterwards, so you don't have to. In fact, I often have the email ready to hit while I'm on the phone, and I'll say, what is your best email, so I can make sure it gets to you and not the general email. And anyways, if need be, leave a voicemail and follow it up with an email, but have that all ready. And then if you're constituent, and almost all of you are, identify yourself as one, because we live in a democracy where our reps only have about 75,000 people to take care of. And they love meeting with their constituents, most of them. So yes, certainly identify yourself as a constituent and mention that you're with Citizens Climate Lobby Canada. We've been around for almost 16 years and we have people know us. And if not, at least they can Google us. It's all here. Okay. So I've got the script and everything in here for you. I think it's been made generic. Yeah, so you can just use that to phone and get an appointment, and you will get all the URLs at the end of tonight. It's in this OneDrive. So we secure that with phone, email, we've got our script, we've done our bio. And just a general idea always, the script is you appreciate the MP and the staff for service to Canada or your community. And again, like make sure all of that information is in there. I'm repeating myself because I used to be a teacher and I was trained to say everything 20 times. So I'm only going to try and say it 3 or 4 times. So sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it's just a habit that I have. So that's last thing we'll be doing is talking about motivational interviewing. But before we do that, actually, we need to look at the leave behind. Sorry. So I've taken the last leave behind, and this is specific. It's going to be updated, but these are the 2 things we're lobbying for. And we will have, so we are wanting our politicians to maintain and strengthen the industrial carbon pricing with a steadily increasing national carbon price and increasing stringency in its application. And we want our government to finalize and implement the sustainable investment guidelines and introduce a federal framework for climate-aligned finance system in alignment with the 1.5C goal and the best practices cited above. And the best practices are here, okay? So we agree with the United Nations Integrity Matters report, which states that the net zero strategies must be verifiable, genuinely low carbon and clean. Free, prior, and informed consent must also be central to all contracts with Indigenous peoples, in line with the United Nations declarations of the rights of Indigenous people. And it is imperative that governments establish truly competitive procurement of all energy projects. So those are our guidelines, and those are our 2 asks. So now we get into motivational interviewing, but is there any questions about the asks? Yeah, go ahead, Janae.
Does it make sense to also talk about other things like for here we look a lot at LNG and to talk about some specifics around that, or does that kind of cloud or take away from maybe what our 2 asks are?
Um, honestly, it does.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad I asked.
It does, because first we just don't. It's these 2 topics are already really complex, and in many ways, yeah, and the LNG. I mean, it has, like, they have to get free, prior, informed consent, so that's going to start capturing it. It has to be truly net zero. It can't be. It just can't be. You imagine it. So yeah, I know LNG is a big concern there, but it's when you start bringing in other lobbying asks, it makes it, you lose the message. And yeah, our 2 goals when we meet with a member of parliament, one is to get that second meeting, and the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th. So to develop that relationship. But the other is to figure out how to move forward together. So figure out what those obstacles are. So move them along. And because I think most of you will be meeting with very climate friendly politicians, you might get hints about, things. And how we do that is through motivational interviewing. So first of all, you get permission to start a topic. And because you have the lobbying meeting, you already have that permission. But if you bump into your MP at the grocery store, don't start lobbying them there. So, just be more friendly there. And this is a good idea in general with anything. Like I was called Friday, divorce day in my house. And my husband was not allowed to bring up any tender subjects that would make us argue on Fridays because I didn't want to start any of those topics. He had no permission. And now I know why. Like your brain has to be ready to take these more complex topics. So, anyways, first you get that permission to start a topic. You have that because you're lobbying. So then you got to ask how, who, what, when, and where questions to try to figure out where the MP stands on a particular topic. Who do they think they can work best with? How do you think this could move forward? What are the next steps? When will this policy move through? So the whole idea is to get the other person talking. If they're doing most of the talking and they're not bamboozling you sometimes like MPs do, like they're actually answering your questions and giving you really good information, then you know you've got an ally. So we will design motivational interviewing questions. Hold on, let me see here. Okay, so let's go back to for simplicity's sake, is any one of these policies more important to you? I honestly think number two is really important for getting rid of LNG in your part of Canada. Because if the banks don't fund it, then it won't happen, right? So that if you want to focus in on that, that in many ways covers a lot of the LNG.
There's also the carbon tax is also there's a lot of exemptions for LNG in terms of the carbon tax in BC, so that's another action.
Do you know the specifics of that, Emma? Because those are great questions.
Yeah, so the sorry, oops. Like there's new entrants get exempt from the industrial carbon price in BC, so and also any like I forget the term, but any like leaks that happen, those are also exempt from the tax.
Okay, so but those are provincial rules, right?
Yes.
So here's the nasty thing about Canadian politics. The feds have very little control over energy policies. So strengthening the carbon price, you can focus in more on that and see if they would be it is a really good idea, actually. You can focus in and you can maybe talk about stringency within the carbon pricing policy. You could come up with some really good motivational interviewing questions within that. Is that making sense? Because that's a really good observation. Now, I live in a province without fossil fuels, so really don't know what the ins and outs are. I just know that there's so many holes in the industrial carbon price. We can have a massive LNG industry and a tar sands industry in Canada. So that's how bad it is. So the specifics, we rely on you, but I think that's a great question. So maybe think hard about, here, let me actually pull something up. I think I have an idea. I do know more than I put on to think I do. Let me just see here for 1 second. All right. This is what you can maybe ask a motivational interviewing question. If you're trying to get LNG, slowed down or really thoughtfully, implemented in your province. I think point number 2 here is we support the federal government's commitment to periodically review provincial and territorial industrial carbon pricing systems to ensure that they conform with the federal benchmark, and where these fall short to impose a federal backstop system. So I think so you might want to ask, I don't know what the exact question would be, but something along the lines, and I'm just going to brainstorm it, and it might sound stupid as soon as I say it, but here it goes. And you can make it better. So ask CMP, what do you think about making sure that what are your thoughts on the periodical review process for the industrial carbon price, and what can be done to, make sure, it's compliant with a 1.5C planet or something like that, like that keeps the emissions coming down. See where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
I think you could really tease out a really good question out of that. So I'm going to put, this is on our website. It's on the homepage. It was part of our review for the industrial carbon price. So you can formulate perhaps a motivational interviewing question just from that one right there. Other thoughts about like where to focus in on in British Columbia, and how, because I know LNG is a huge concern. It's a huge concern to me, same as CCS. They both make me want to scream. Like I just want to run outside in minus 50-degree weather and just scream to the universe how maddening it is.
Yeah, I
So
think
yeah,
yeah, like LNG is increasing our emissions by 20% in the more than that. That's just one project.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. So we have to, like, how can the federal government control this? And I think just asking about this stringency, but where the federal government can't control, the banks can. Okay? Because if the banks won't fund this, it makes it hard for it to go forward. Go ahead, Janae.
Is it helpful, especially in the beginning, to ask a real general question like, what are your thoughts on climate aligned financing? Or is that just way too general?
It depends on your MP. So Emma, when you lobby your MP, make sure you get the notes from get some thoughts from what they've heard when they lobbied your MP in October. By they, I mean Taylor and Juliana. So, but if it's a very first meeting and you found nothing on the internet, that's a very fair question, Janae. People have rules. So there's the lead person, the person who has how much time there is. You always want to make sure there's somebody who knows they're going to take the picture. There's the person who's going to do the lobbying ask. There's the other person who does the appreciation of the MP, and then there's other rules, and anybody who's constituent should also be identified. For suggestions, and be ready to take on multiple rules. Other rules are such as deliverer. It looks like Emma has a petition with 150 signatures on it, so that's what delivering is. A nice thing is if you have a lot of people in the room and you've got somebody who's really sensitive to body language, is somebody watching how the MP is behaving and how the staff are behaving. Like one time I was in a meeting in the United States, and they didn't know I was watching, but they were texting each other under the table, and the one guy said, "Phone me so to get me out of this meeting." It was a meeting going sideways. And other times I've been in meetings where you just know they're loving you, right? But it's nice to have that person who's watching what's going on. So is it an honest meeting? Is it a good meeting? Are they engaged, or are they having a bad day, or are they really like hostile or just blowing you off or whatever, right? Like just to get a sense of that. And just like any meeting, there's a beginning. Thanks for meeting with us. How much the person who's the timekeeper will always, when it comes to them, they'll make sure they know how much time they have. If you have enough time, do intros. The more time you have, like the longer they can be. If you only have 15 minutes, it's like, hi, my name is Emma. Hi, my name is Mary Blake. Hi, my name is Janet. Hi, my name is Janae. And then just state your purpose. We're here today to meet to discuss whatever climate policy it is, if you're going to do both or just one, and then you ask. And then in the middle, you have an exchange of thought through motivational interviewing questions, and you're listening for values, and you're trying to move the MP. And at the end, you're clarifying any supporting asks or plans for future follow-up, and thanking them for their time. So we are going to role play a meeting. You have to identify who the lobby lead is. who you plan to lobby, so a liberal or a conservative or NDP, and the lobby lead facilitates the assignment of roles and your team's meeting plan. And come up with 2 or 3 motivational interviewing questions and make sure everyone has a role and participates, and then just role play. So I can be the MP if you want, and you can plan for about the next 5 to 10 minutes, and then I won't listen, so I don't have the inside on what you're going to say.
Uh, Hi, I'm Emma, and I'm here with several other constituents.
Nice to meet you, Emma. And
Hi,
yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
Shanae, and I'm really happy to be here with you as well.
Nice to
Yes, hi, I'm Gianna Hovey. Also happy to be here. And our group, we really thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. We've been following your work on environmental policy and are hoping to ask you a few questions that have been concerning our group here in the Lower Mainland.
Okay, great.
And I'm Mary Blake. I'm not a constituent, but I do appreciate you letting me join today. And I did just wonder, how much time do we have?
A half an hour.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for being here. How can I help you?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, we are kind of looking to get your opinion on a few climate policies. Specifically, we kind of were just wondering what you thought about climate-aligned financing.
Well, the climate aligned finance, just I'm parliamentary secretary to the Minister for Environment, Climate Change and Nature, and the Environmental and Sustainable Committee, and House Commons, which is a multi-partisan committee, and it's where most of the work is done in the House of Commons, has just put out a paper, and yeah, it recommends climate aligned finance, and I think our Prime Minister, um, having a financial background, and understanding the risks of lost assets, will be very open to this. I shouldn't be speaking for him, but I think it will be not lost on him the value of having some rules for the financial institutions to so that we don't end up imploding our financial system.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, that's understandable and critical, for our country. You're so involved. We were wondering, what are some of the things that you think that we could do to help support and strengthen?
Uh, well, every, sorry, climate conversations. I think they're the most important thing to do. Just keep talking about climate. Once we start putting this policy forward, just like with carbon pricing, there's going to be blowback. So we need to lay down, the path forward, become trusted messengers within our own communities. I know your organization and other organizations are doing great work on educating your fellow community members, get into the newspapers, get as many people speaking to their parliamentarians about this. Just become very well versed in it. I mean, if you can all sing songs like, I don't know which one it would be. My generation, it would be American Pie. I'm sure you can all get it. Well, it's just a very long song. I'm sure everybody can learn a little bit about climate aligned finance and become very comfortable with it. So yeah, I think conversations are really critical.
Right.
In the House of Commons, to show that there is political will for it. If you could have us read paper petitions in the House of Commons, that would be very helpful as well.
Mm.
And any sort of those digital campaigns are okay, but more importantly, the written, like actual
Ah,
handwriting and like snail mail and phone calls are way more powerful. So if you have the bandwidth, definitely try to notch it up a few notches. Obviously, you still need to do the digital stuff, but the other stuff is way more powerful.
that's good to know. That's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Those were great questions.
Yeah, we're also wondering about for the industrial carbon pricing. It currently set a goal of going up to 170 at dollars per ton at by 2030. But government hasn't really set a goal past that. Do you have any idea where that's going?
Yeah, it's really complicated. I'm not sure if you saw what happened in Alberta, but they got it lowered. Um, these are very tricky times that we're living in. The government is having to deal with a separatist movement in Alberta, um, as well as the trade wars. So I think what the Prime Minister wants us to do is focus on what we can do right now. So just keep, pushing really hard to, get what we can get right now. Yeah, it's disappointing that these longer term goals and these weakening things happening, but just every little step forward is really important. Um, right now, the government has to keep Canada together, which will be our number one priority. I know that's probably not what a climate activist wants to hear, especially me as a dad with two young children who are concerned about climate change, and many of my colleagues have children like that. But we focus on right now, keep pushing on what we can do right now. That would be really important. And at your end, just keep educating about carbon pricing will be really helpful. And I think what our government has to do is just do a better job of communicating it as well.
Yeah, well, that's very helpful. I see that we're coming to the end of our time here today, and I just want to thank you again so much for meeting with us. And yeah, would you be willing to potentially talk again in the future over about
Oh,
this?
yeah, this was a very good meeting. Like, you guys don't argue. What the heck? Okay. Well,
Awesome.
I
Oh, well,
that was great. So Emma, you have to go very soon. I thought that was excellent. But any feedback from you all? How did that feel?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Really good. Was really good. And you know what? Those are some of the answers that we've heard in meetings. Okay. So I wasn't making that up. I'm leaning into what I'm hearing and what I'm reading.
hmm hmm
Okay. So I know it's not what we want to hear, but at least now you won't be shocked if you hear the sideways answer as
Right.
opposed to, yeah. So
It's the reality right now.
mhm. But the Prime Minister's right, and Simon Sharp was right. Focus on what we can get done right now. So, like the Prime Minister, has got cheap EVs coming into the country that will help with affordability issues, so people will start seeing their neighbors doing it, and then, you know, like these things, things will catch on. We got to focus on and it's not going to, destroy our domestic EV industry. It's only 3% of the cars in the next 6 years. It's all good. Not perfect. Nothing's ever perfect, but this is what we can do right now in the context.
Yeah, I think like you talked about how Prime Minister Carney would be definitely interested in the um, Finances Act. I think because he was actually like a speaker like the last time, like in the committee the last time, and he went into detail about what he supported about it and what he didn't like about it in 2023 in the committee. And
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I'll have to go
Yeah.
back and look at that. Very good,
um,
Emma.
yeah,
You really do your homework. And if you
that's
had
what.
one question you could ask Wade Grant, especially because he's like a parliamentary secretary, is like, does he know any MPs who would be, willing to back it? I know he
Mhm.
can, but it's harder when he's a parliamentary secretary. But just if you could get names of MPs who knows are going to support it, because I'm
Okay.
just, yeah, I'm not. I am telling you to ask him that, okay, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which MPs do you think would be willing? Because we're trying to find supporters of this
Mhm.
of the Climate Aligned Finance Acts, because it really looks like it's going to slide forward. That MV study that just came out like last week is
Oh,
just incredible. Like, so the gates are opening. Is
is
this
that
something we
linked
can do right
anywhere?
now? Pardon?
Is that linked anywhere?
Yeah, yeah. I'll put it in the chat right now. And actually, this is the one I wanted to show you one more thing before
Okay.
you leave. I have made, okay, I want to first get it in the chat. So we've got um a folder for you. It'll be in the chat and we'll send the recording. And this is the okay, so the recording will have it if you don't see, like, we won't send you a YouTube, we'll actually send you the Zoom recording. So we have a and I'm on the wrong page, sorry. Sorry, I'm gonna make you sick with going all over the place here. Okay. So here's the folder. It's got everything in it. It's also got the associated laser talks. Unfortunately, they're a little bit behind time. Like they're for October and things have already changed. So as you're preparing, you can click on these to go to the various ones. They're not going to be perfect. And this will really help with stopping unwanted carbon bombs in your province.
Well, thank you so much again for all of this. And yeah, I'll definitely.
Thank you.
Thank
This is
you.
very
Thanks, Alan.
exciting.